Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here, and today is a monumental day in the amusement park and theme park communities as Cedar Fair and Six Flags are joining forces in an official merge of the two companies. Let's give you the lowdown on everything that's happening. Early in the morning of November 2nd, 2023, it was released in multiple press releases by both Cedar Fair and Six Flags just before the Q3 earnings call from Cedar Fair, specifically that these two amusement park giants will be officially merging, at least in the near future. Now, if you've never heard of Cedar Fair or Six Flags, you must be new to this entire thing, but both chains are largest in terms of individual parks run, with a total standing with water parks and dry parks included being 42 different properties, including places like Cedar Point, Knott's Berry Farm, Six Flags Magic Mountain, Six Flags Over Texas, and many, many more. But let's go ahead and talk about all the changes that might be upcoming very, very soon. So this is going to be a very big change, especially for stockholders in both companies. And I won't get too into the specifics about this, but do know that no official money is being handed to one company or the other. The deal is entirely in stock. And the stock officially going to be used is Cedar Fair's under the name Fun, meaning that Cedar Fair technically is in charge of this whole thing. However, they will be using the Six Flags name. So even though Cedar Point is going to be operated by the same team more or less, it still technically could be considered under the Six Flags chain. Kind of crazy, right? Now let's talk about more of those changes. It would seem that the headquarters, both in Grand Prairie, Texas and Sandusky, Ohio, are going to be vacated and moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, pretty much near where Carowinds, one of Cedar Fair's larger and upcoming parks, has been located for many, many years. Going back to the stock deal, Cedar Fair is officially the new majority owner of Six Flags, and this is technically going to be the third version of the Six Flags company that we've seen, with the original Six Flags, then the Premier Parks version of Six Flags, which we've just seen pretty much die off, and now the Cedar Fair version will be coming very, very soon. The companies will be operating all of their parks and attractions together, and a lot of those things will be ironed out in the future. Speaking of which, realistically, this deal won't go through until early 2024 if it does go through, and the main hope of this deal is to save money. It said multiple times that their hope is to save $200 million a year through this deal. Which, if that's the case, that means hopefully more investment to all of the parks involved, which would be absolutely phenomenal. However, it is likely to see lots of changes throughout the chain in the coming years, and it might be for better and especially worse. Not to be pessimistic here, but it does worry me quite a bit that there are going to be some monumental changes, or heck, I might actually be wrong and they'll keep all the parks running exactly how they are. And to be honest, that might be the more likely option. Speaking of leadership, however, we should talk about how the CEO and all of those other major positions will be shuffled around. The current president and CEO of Cedar Fair is now going to be CEO and president of both companies, and Salim Basul will now be officially executive chairman. So both current CEOs of both Six Flags and Cedar Fair will have arguably the most important roles in this new company going forward. This is truly the biggest news I think that I have ever covered, and it's something that I never expected to really see the light of day. There have been rumors for many, many years now, even between SeaWorld as well, that there would be some sort of buyout or merger in the near future, but now that day has come. I'm still pretty much in shock, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well. But realistically, this is all we know currently. By the time this video goes out, the earnings call will hopefully be near over and we'll get more information. And to be completely honest, I probably wouldn't be making this video unless I stayed up playing Rocket League until way too late, like I did. But I figure I might as well add in some of my own thoughts to this. I am really just flabbergasted by this whole idea that at least one of my home parks, Knott's Berry Farm, can technically be called a Six Flags park. That is crazy to me. And a big worry of mine, specifically talking about that, is that I hope that a lot of the Cedar Fair parks especially get to keep their individual identity especially when it comes to parks like Knott's Berry Farm, Carowinds, Kings Island. They all feel fairly similar, all being owned by Cedar Fair. However, they do have their little individual quirks that just make them all really special. Not saying that Six Flags does not have that, however, they do have kind of a more homogeneous style, with many rides being cloned over, as well as reoccurring themes and names. Speaking of the IP though, I should say that all the IP is going to work seamlessly, supposedly. Peanuts properties will be able to stay at the parks they're at, as well as Bugs Bunny and DC will be able to stay at the parks they're at. I don't know if there's going to be any crossover in the near future. That's going to be something we're going to have to wait and see for. But don't worry, Peanuts is not leaving the Cedar Fair parks and Bugs Bunny is not leaving the Six Flags chain, at least not yet. I gotta say, I'm both excited but nervous for all the possibilities this new venture will bring, whether it's a super combo pass with 42 parks enabled on it, which sounds insane, but do know that price is probably going to be pretty high, deservedly so. But I'm also curious to see any managerial differences, operational differences, and theming differences in projects going forward. Because I know, especially as of late, Cedar Fair specifically has been putting more theming efforts into their new rides, and I hope they're able to carry that over to a lot of the Six Flags parks as well. Now, I know a lot of people are curious about the monopoly idea and how this is technically becoming a monopoly. However, it technically isn't, at least in the eyes of the US government, as their market share is barely still scratching the surface of the big boys, Universal and Disney. Realistically, this entire new brand of Six Flags could combine with the SeaWorld company as well and still only hold about 10% of market share in theme parks around the world, whereas Disney and Universal add up together to almost 70 to 75. And that's the big thing the government cares about when it comes to monopolies: market share. But I gotta say, I'm really interested to see more in the future. I'm incredibly nervous and excited, but this is going to be probably the biggest chain we see in the theme park community probably ever, especially when it comes to coaster enthusiasts. Or heck, maybe it'll be just a dud and nothing truly changes. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But I'm curious what you all think at this monumental news. I would love to know your thoughts down in the comment section. I know it's gonna be pretty crazy down there, so do keep it civil for sure. But do you think this is gonna be a good or bad thing? Let me know. But with all that said, I want to say thank you all so much for watching, and if you would like more news covering this in the future, make sure to subscribe because I will be covering it further, especially since it affects multiple parks that I visit all the time. And hopefully I'll see you in a couple videos at those parks in the near future as well. But until then, we'll see you on the next ride.